Good afternoon, friends. Happy Sunday. All right, today I want to talk about something I believe is going to help you. I believe is going to make a difference in your life. If you have been following me, if you have been following my blog posts, the teachings I uploaded on my YouTube channel, you will know that I am quite interested in the subject of purpose, right? This is because I have interest in what it takes to build a great life, right? What it takes to live a deeply meaningful and impactful life. So today I want to talk about the 4 things I consider to be the 4 foundations of a great life. The 4 pillars of a deeply meaningful life. Now, this subject or this talk, I captioned it, or I want it to be simplifying purpose. Simplifying purpose. So my aim is that at the end of this talk, you will have a clearer, if not the clearest, understanding of purpose. Because most times when people talk about purpose, people that talk about purpose, like myself, discover purpose, you have to be purpose driven. Sometimes people don't really understand what we mean by that. This teaching I'm making right now about purpose is not going to be the last teaching I'm going to make, because I am always reading, studying about these subjects, because I want to help people to live a life that is deeply rooted in a sense of purpose and driven by the desire to make a difference in the society. Now, we are going to look at these 4 foundations. Number 1 we are going to start with is identity. What is identity? Identity answers the question of who am I? The question of who am I? If you ask the average person, who are you? Right? They're going to start with their name first. I am John and I am a banker. It's important that we understand that we are not what we do. We are not our role. Whether that is our professional roles, whether that is our relationship role, we are not our roles. But because we are not taught about how to differentiate our core identity from our professional identity and other identities, we tend to fuse them together as one. So if somebody is a banker, they see themselves as a banker. Like in their core, they think themselves to be a banker. So when you ask them, who are you? I am a banker. So today I want to I want to bring clarity to that question of who I am. So I use myself. Before now, I used to think myself as a purpose coach, right? I'm interested in purpose. I have this deep desire to help people to align their life with the things that matters to them. So when I ask myself, who are you? I answer back to myself, I am a purpose coach. But over time, I realized that is faulty, right? Because that is what I do, that is not who I am. So today, if I ask myself the question of who are you, My answer is I am. Who are you? I am. I am awareness. I am life itself. I am consciousness. That is who I am. It's important that we get this, the question of identity clear. It is important that we purify our identity from our roles. That help us to be fluid. That help us to be flexible. That help us to, move away from roles that are not serving us, from relationships that are not serving us, because we have not infused our identity with that role. Let me illustrate this. How we, when we are small, or when we see children, we ask them the question of, who do you want to become when you grow up? That question is not often, it's not often about who do you want to become. It's about what kind of job do you want to do when you grow up. So in school, we emphasize on that. That is the question we put in their head. So what we do is that we have given them an identity. We raise them to pick up an identity as a future employee, as a future worker. And so that when they grow up, all they think to do after school is to become an employee, because that is identity we have put in them. That when they grow up, that as they are still kids, they should aspire to become future employee. Let me give another example. If you know how we have girl child, we have little girls around us, and we begin to tell them somehow that they are somebody's wife. So in their mind, they put that identity of somebody's wife in their head. So they see themselves as somebody's wife. Now, I'm not saying there is an issue with raising girls to be good wives. But what I'm talking about is they put that identity in their head so that as they are growing up, they are dreaming, they are seeing themselves that they are going to be somebody's wife without making a conscious decision whether or not being somebody's wife is something that will serve them. So they have that identity. So it's important that we purify our identity. You are not your role. You are not your role. You are not your job. So if you ask me today, who are you? I am. I work as a quality assurance officer. Right? That is what I do. But that is not who I am. So that if anything happens on the course of that job, it doesn't define me. This is so important that you separate what you do from who you are. Because even as a person that talks about purpose, once I begin to identify myself as once I begin to see myself and think that who I am is a purpose coach or is a writer, someone that writes about purpose, what happens is that I will be tempted to be performance driven. Because if I see myself as a purpose coach, then I will start measuring myself in terms of how much of that purpose coach stuff am I doing? So I am not what I do. I am. I am being. I am consciousness. I am life itself. So I want to ask you this question. Who are you beyond your titles? Who are you beyond your job roles? Who are you beyond your relationship roles? This is really important. Who are you beyond your position? You need to answer that question for yourself, because that helps you to know who you are and build your self-worth in your core identity, in your essence as a human, not in what you do. Roles are expression, not essence. Roles are expression, not essence. I have roles, but I am not my role. I have different roles. You can have different roles, right? Depending. You can be a father, you can be a mother, you can be a teacher, you can be a manager. But those are roles. Those are things you do and not who you are. Now let's go to the second pillar, purpose. What is purpose? Purpose is why. Purpose is your biggest why. I'm trying to check this mic because, I've experienced a lot of time. I was talking and the mic is off. So purpose is why. Is the mother why that houses other whys in your life. Now, listen, this is important. Purpose is the deepest motivation of your life. It's the biggest why that drives your decision right now at this point you are in your life. Purpose is the biggest why. Now, you have different purposes. It's important. Just like you have identity, you have your core identity, but you have other identities, like you have a professional identity, like most of us have. But your professional identity should not be confused with your core identity. The same thing with purpose. So purpose is why, your biggest why. For me, my why, my purpose is to help people to live a life of meaning and impact. So that is the biggest why, the mother why that drives my decision. But I have other small purposes that is housed by that biggest why. For instance, I work as a quality assurance department. There is a purpose, there is a reason why I do that job, right? I buy books to read. I have a purpose of buying them. I go for training. I have a purpose. So I have this biggest why or purpose, which I identify as my life purpose. Then I have other small purposes that are housed under that. So the idea is that the other small purposes are in alignment with the biggest purpose, with your biggest why, with your mother purpose. So that if my purpose is to help people to live a life of impact and meaning, that purpose drives me. It informs the purpose of buying books, to gain knowledge, to gain insights, right? It informs my purpose of going to training. And I want to mention this, that I am not my purpose. This is important. Purpose is an expression. It is not who I am. It is not who you are. Your purpose is an expression, but is not who you are. Purpose can change. Purpose can evolve. Now, it's important that I mention this. Purpose is not prepackaged. Now, I know this is against, what most believers believe, right? what faith people believe, that you are born with a purpose, that there is a purpose that makes your birth necessary. I disagree. Purpose is not pre-packaged. Purpose is uncovered. You are not born with purpose, you arrive at purpose for your life. Now, let me say this. You arrive, whatever that is your purpose right now, or for example, for myself, when I say my purpose is to help people to live a life of meaning and impact, that purpose was not prepackaged. I wasn't giving birth to, and I just have it with me. It comes about because of my environment, my upbringing, my experiences, the problem I see in the world that I feel driven to, because of my upbringing, because of my exposures, because of my struggles, inspirations. Because I live in the part of the world where I see people who are merely surviving, people who have great potentials, but they are merely surviving. So these are the things that inform my purpose. These are the things that inform the things that drive me. For example, somebody can suffer from abuse, from sexual abuse while they were, while they were still kids. And that can inform their purpose. That can inform what drives their life. They can go ahead and start a foundation or an institution, or a program where they lecture young girls, train them to help them to overcome or to prevent these kind of experiences. Or even people that have experienced that, they help to rehabilitate them, because they have gone through this experience and they are passionate about helping people to come out of it and to prevent it. Somebody can be born to a poor family, and they struggle to eat. And they see how poverty messes people's life up, so that when they rise and and they are thriving, they can start an institution, a program where they help people to come out of poverty. They can start a program where they are going about teaching people about finance, or how to start small businesses, and that becomes a purpose that drives their life. But it is not what they are born with. It is because of their environments. If you are born, it is very difficult for you, if you are born in Nigeria, to be driven to how will I put this? No. If you are born in, let's say in Nigeria, okay, it is difficult, the chances that you are going to be driven, or your purpose is going to be to help people to fight the Taliban, or your motivation is to fight the Taliban, is rare. Because you are not exposed to that environment. You have not experienced an attack by these extremists, right? But if you are born in Nigeria, that can be your motivation or your interest or something that drives you. Maybe it might be to help people who are attacked by Boko Haram, right? Or to even fight against them, because you have experienced that. So purpose is not something you are born with. You are not born with purpose. It is something that you uncover. It is something that you uncover, something that you refined even as you grew up. It's important because purpose evolves. It is not rigid, it is not static. It evolves through your experiences. As you grow, you begin to refine it. You begin to see how where your energy and interest is going. Now the next thing is vision. Vision answers the question of what world do I see? When we say purpose gives you your why, but vision gives you your where, right? Purpose is about why, vision is about where. Vision is the world of your imagination, right? Vision is the world you see. When the problem you see in the world, when you have executed your purpose, when the problem you see in the world have been addressed, vision is that world that you see that is void of the problem you see in society. For example, if you are driven to help people to come out of poverty, right? So your vision is a world of no poverty, or a world where we have most people are out of the poverty range. If your purpose is the seed, is a seed, right? Your vision is the tree you imagine growing through it. Your vision, if your purpose is a seed, your vision is the tree you imagine growing out from that seed. The next thing is mission. What is mission? Mission is what? It answers the question of what will I do? Mission is where vision turns into concrete action. It answers the question of what will I do today, this year, in my lifetime, to move closer to my vision. Now, vision is what you do, is action. For example, myself, when I think about my mission, is to write books, to write blog posts, to give trainings, to create courses, to run institutions that will help people to align their life with the things that matters to them, to live a life of meaning and impact. So mission answers the question of what will I do? So when you think about the subject of purpose, mission, and vision, what I want you to get out of this is this. First of all, you have an identity. It's important that you purify your identity, that you are not what you do. You are life itself. You are a human being, not a human doing. This is important. You are a human being, not a human doing. And whatever you are going to identify as your purpose is not pre-packaged. It is as a result of your upbringing, as a result of your wiring, as a result of your experiences, your exposure. It could be your struggles and your pains. And you need to be aware that purpose can evolve. Because when your identity is void of roles, it makes you flexible. So that if something happens to the expression of purpose, you know that that is not a loss of your identity. So this helps you to Do not fall into the trap of identity crisis. Because when you realize that you are not what you do, it can become easy for you to do something else, or for you to transit into something else. Do you understand? You are not what you do. You do something, but what you do is not who you are. So purpose is not your identity. Your identity is pure. You are life. You are consciousness. So when you identify these four things and you try to answer the question, identity, purpose, vision, and mission. Now there are other things, but these four are what I consider to be the pillar of a satisfied and peaceful life, of a life of meaning, a life that is deep, a life that is focused. If you can be able to answer these four questions in a way that is clear, like I tried to explain, it helps you, it gives you that taproot to live a life that is meaningful to you. Because a life that is meaningful to you may not be meaningful to another person. It may not look like a life of success to another person. In fact, what this helps you is it helps you to not be somebody that is chasing success or somebody that is chasing happiness, right? Because those things are elusive. So I want to believe that this will help you as you are going through life, as you are experiencing life, as you are trying to make sense out of your life, as you are trying to make a difference, as you are trying to build a business, as you are trying to build a career for yourself. I want to believe that this will bring more clarity to you. Okay, so if you have a question, you can put it in the comment section, and I'll create time to respond to that. Thank you for listening for 27 minutes.